Michael Cimino's 1978 film The Deer Hunter is primarily focused on three blue-collar Russian-American friends living in an industrial Pennsylvania town called Charlestown, before, during, and after the Vietnam War, showing the significance and impact the war had on the soldiers and their families. The film uses a case study of Michael to visualize what the Vietnam War could have been like for the individual soldiers both physically and psychologically. The description of the Vietnam War displayed depicts the Vietnamese soldiers as being brutal and relentless people who torture their victims for amusement, with all Americans being upstanding righteous heroes, with quotes on banners reading, "Serving God and country proudly." The scene with most significance in displaying the cruelty of war is an event that triggered major psychological problems for all three friends was during the POW site. The entirety of the movie has some subtle reference to this scene, exaggerating the psychological damage and reoccurrence to that of the PTSD sufferer. This scene shows the three friends being forced to play Russian roulette against one another for the Vietnamese soldiers' amusement. This scene brought to light the meaning of a conversation between Nick and Michael. You have to think about one shot. One shot is what it's all about. A deer's got to be taken out with one shot. Hearing how adamant Michael was towards the one shot at the start of the movie brought meaning to the significance of war and its unpredictability towards being in a life and death situation. The roulette games throughout the movie reinforced this message, with each roulette scene resulting in a death. Although two of the three friends survived the roulette games, they all left the war with PTSD, which not only affected them but their family and friends also. Whilst reading Soldier's Heart, close up to date with PTSD and Vietnam veterans, Schroeder and Dorr explain the emotional and neurological functions to which the soldiers' actions were causing the amount of psychological defenses in which man automatically puts upon war and the limitations to the acceptance of PTSD. Soldier's Heart gives an understanding to PTSD and explains why the characters in The Deer Hunter reacted to the situations differently, giving a beneficial view on the film. Schroeder and Dorr's book allows the reader to identify certain stages of which the characters amount to obtaining stresses throughout the film. An example of this is when Nick and Rick are talking at the bar in their hometown about war, feeling high about the positive propaganda received in fighting and serving for a higher power. It isn't until the topic of themselves or a friend dying arises that the realization of war and the probability of death is likely. Soldier's Heart allows the reader to identify these as a pre-stressor instead of just negative feeling. Throughout reading Schroeder and Dorr's Soldier's Heart and reviewing The Deer Hunter, a greater understanding of human neurological functions during intense stress becomes evident. The film reveals the harsh side effects of war through post-traumatic stress disorders that are evident amongst most soldiers fighting in wars. With the help of Michael Cimino's The Deer Hunter, his interpretation of war is realized.